We are making up the anchors this morning. I'm not going to go through the process because it's relatively straightforward. The anchors come and they're lead, so they need to be cleaned up from the casting. And then these pieces are simply stuck on. I use CA to stick them onto the main anchor, and they went on pretty well. I had thought of trying to solder them on, but I just did a little experiment, and the lead melted much too easily. So they're not under any stress, so there's no reason to use anything but CA. The wooden stock, again, also very straightforward. You simply line the two pieces up to make sure that the hole is square and that all the pieces line up here. And then put them in a clamp and stick them in. I used PVA to do this because I wanted to make sure that if I didn't get the hole absolutely square, I could readjust it. And then once that's complete, you will find that there will be an adjustment. So we'll have to sand the shank here a little bit so that it fits in real neat into the wooden stock. There are 3 big anchors and 1 small one, and it's made up the same way, and you use CA to hold, I think it's called the palm, onto the main shank of the anchor. You and use a square file to really open it up and to make sure you get a nice tight fit. There we go. So now all we have to do is to drill the hole, and we'll do that on the drill press. All complete, just to clean up a little bit more, and then we'll paint black, and then we'll use this paper to make up the hoops, very thin pieces of paper to make up the hoops on the side. This will be left in walnut. The cannon will be in black. We had to open up the smaller anchor wooden stock quite a bit. So again, I just used a drill bit to open it up. We could have done this before we had stuck it, and maybe I should, but again, a very easy way to make sure that it's evenly spaced on both sides. There we go. The small one gave a little bit of trouble, but eventually with the square file, we persevered. We broke the palm off the anchor, but we just stick that back, and now we'll go and paint it. We have painted both the top and the bottom of the anchors and used PVA to glue the wood stock onto the stem of the anchor. So we're going to leave that to dry. Then we'll put the rings and the bands, and then paint the walnut. We're just going to make up the rings now, and it's really very simple. You need to make 3 of the bigger ones. So, based on my previous suggestions, we make 4. Slip them off and simply cut them. This morning we're going to show you how to put in the anchor rope, which is to take a rope called a lashing rope and wrap it around the anchor ring. What's interesting is it actually has a seizing on it in 4 spots, which really helped keep the rope in place. Cut a piece of string 12 to 16 inches long. You mustn't mind wasting a little thread, because when it gets too tight it's very difficult. And then put a 1/2 inch, but put at least 2 or maybe 3 extra turns on the 1/2 inch and pull it tight. So you get a real tight join like that. And then you pull it down right close to the shank. And pull it flat against the shank. And then you need to put a little CA on it to lock it in place. And that becomes your start. Once that is set, you can wrap the line around the entire ring. To do this, you need a good television show, because it's going to take you anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour. And if you're not very careful, it'll unwrap a few times. So when you get about halfway through, you want to glue it. So I tend to put some full strength PVA on the ring, simply because it'll unravel if you make the slightest error. So, contrary to popular practice, I put the full strength CA on it, let it sink in, and then I will wipe it off with water. And you want to make sure that you really get it in the bottom. Also, when you are whipping, you tend to want to push the bottom of the ring rather than the top, to compress the bottom of the ring, because the inner circle is smaller than the outer circle. Therefore, the whipping, or putting as it's called, the rope will tend to start doing this, and you want to try and keep it as straight as possible. Just to give you a timeline, I'm 3/4 way through and 20 minutes into this, so it's a lot of patience. So we are finally done. I use again CA to lock it, and I'll take a blade to cut it very close to the edge, like that, and it's done. It wasn't too hard to do. We simply marked it off. You have a nice center line already on the woodstock, and sanded it down so that now we're actually ready for the metal bands. We need to use a square to line up the marks for the rings. So you need to do this before you sand it down, simply because the square, you'll have difficulty with the square when you cut the sides down. Putting the metal bands on, use a dash of C to get the first one on, and then I follow with PVA, and then put CA at the end on the last piece. You'll also notice that I've gone a little over so that I can get a nice clean line, which I use the utility knife, and then I put CA on the end to lock it in place. So then all you have to do is pull it over, get nice clean lines, and pull it down. And you will want to take off any excess glue now. And there's a nice, there's a nice clean metal band. All complete, touched up. The wooden stock is all painted. The puddings are done and touched up. Really came out great. While we were doing the anchors, we thought we would just finish off the anchor cable and the messenger line. The anchor cable is 1.8 or 1.9 millimeters, and the messenger line is 1 millimeter. Quite a challenging little piece to install. You see the messenger line goes around the snatch block at the back and then goes up to the windlass. And how it works is, as the messenger line is pulled, it will pull the anchor cable back, and it would fall down into the hole. These are clove hitches along the way, easy to tie and untie. So other than just really persevering and understanding how the windlass works, just remember, if one of the messenger line goes below, the other one must come on top, and it's the same thing on the other side. We'll put the anchors on at a later point in time. Just gonna let the glue dry on the starboard anchor rope, and that's it for this video.